Well, that's slow. Well, hello and welcome to TargetedWest.com. This is DJ Chris. I'm your moderator. The opinions of DJ Chris, the opinions of DJ Chris, opinions of our guests are of their own and not that of TargetedWest.com. I'm here in beautiful Lodi. It's 48 degrees right now. My nose is running. Plus, I want to warn you that the computer and the internet here are very slow due to shopping for the holidays. So I may cut in and out during the show. So please be patient. Tonight we have show number 143. It's 12/15/2024. And tonight we have Judge Sanders, Brenda K. Sanders, on our call. And we will be interviewing her. So we'd like to do a real quick bio first and let you know a little bit about her. So without further ado, here we go.
Good evening, everyone. It's an absolute joy and honor to introduce tonight's special guest on DJ Chris's Targeted West show, a truly extraordinary woman, Brenda Sanders. I first met Brenda at a TI rally in Detroit, Michigan back in 2022, and from that day forward, I've been proud to call her my friend. Brenda inspires me every day through the incredible life she's lived and the example she sets. Her strength, determination, and brilliance are genuinely motivating. Brenda Sanders is a former judge of Michigan's 36th District Court and a distinguished attorney with over 24 years of experience practicing law in Detroit. From criminal and family law to civil litigation and even church law, she has done it all. And let me tell you, when I was gathering her accomplishments for this introduction, I couldn't help but laugh and think, is there anything this lady hasn't done? Brenda is truly a powerhouse, a woman who seems to have lived 3 lifetimes in one and excelled in every single one of them. Just this year, she ran as the Green Party candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in Michigan's 12th Congressional District, continuing her lifelong mission of fighting for equity, accountability, and community empowerment. Brenda doesn't just dream about making a difference. She takes action and inspires others to follow. She holds a degree in political science from the University of Michigan and a JD from the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. But her brilliance isn't confined to the courtroom. Brenda is also the host of 2 incredible podcasts, The Political Strategist and Seeing Clearly in the Dark, where she shares her wisdom on everything from political challenges to life's deeper questions. And let's not forget her artistic talents. Brenda is an accomplished harpist and visual artist whose music and creativity have touched countless lives. Her album, Harp Beats for Christmas, is a beautiful testament to her musical gifts, and you can even hear some of her songs on tievents.org under the music section. Whether it's music, art, or law, Brenda pours her whole heart into everything she does. She's also the author of books like Your Spiritual Profile and The Agony of a Harpist, 10 Steps to Godly Promotion. Whether she's advocating for justice, creating art, or simply living her life with courage and purpose, Brenda is someone who inspires everyone around her, myself included. It's truly an honor to have her with us tonight. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to my friend and an extraordinary woman, Brenda K. Sanders.
Well, hello, Brenda K. Sanders. Judge Sanders, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me to
Yeah,
your
what
show.
quite an introduction. You've done a lot. Attorney for 24 years, a judge. I didn't know you wrote books. That's great. You can let me know about that for the book club we have. So anyway, how are you? And tell us, do you have any more plans for your political future in the Green Party?
Well, the Green Party is certainly been a great party to me, and they sort of adopted me during this last election cycle. And right now I'm trying to decide, the Green Party, and good evening, everyone. The Green Party wants me to, I think they're trying to, again, solicit my participation in running for the 12th Congressional District of Michigan once again in 2 years. I am interested in, my political ambitions are a little different. I believe at this stage in my life, if I'm going to invest, and I am going to further invest in my political interests, I want to run for the U.S. Senate here in South Carolina. I have a home here in South Carolina where I am right now, and I will spend the holidays here. I have run for this seat before, and just not in a serious way where I've invested the effort, but I am interested in, again, seeking some kind of political office. You'll know that, but they may change from time to time until, of course, I make it to the point where I believe I can be most effective to help TIs and to help other people and help them earn the honor to their rights and their respectability in society. And I did that as a judge as well. And I know I sound like a politician, but yes, those are my goals.
That was my first question off the hat. As a judge, did you ever see any evidence that people were targeted while you were practicing both law and being a judge? Did you ever see someone else, like I'm assuming you're also targeted, so you know about it? Did you see that in your court?
Well, I don't think, most of us that are targeted, I never learned of such a word until I believe I saw Sharice, if you may be familiar with Sharice. I was running for the Michigan State Senate District 1, and it was a lot of publicity in that race in Michigan. And Sharice contacted me. She said, we're interested in having you at our rally. You said some things that are very interesting and mirror some of the experiences that we as targeted individuals have endured. And that's how I became acquainted with a group, an organization. I didn't even know there was anyone else like me that had endured some of the things that I have endured. I believe the targeting starts early. And with me, I believe it began even before I graduated from high school. But I didn't know what it was. And then it intensified once I became an attorney, and I had to fight to do that through court action and so forth. But certainly I can see a pattern. What I cannot positively and concretely say at this moment is what draws the targeter to the victim, what draws the perpetrator, what draws the government. In my instance, I believe it's all government done. What drew these perpetrators? What drew these people that sought to really significantly impact my life in a negative way? And I kept thinking, what would cause them to even focus on me? And I thought, oh, well, maybe it's my music, maybe it's my art. And I began to even investigate myself, if you know what I mean. I began to investigate myself. I said, what is going on that these people can't stop invading my life? And I looked up a couple of things that these are things that I've been doing as a child. since I was 9 or 10 years old. So these are things that are second nature to me. They don't really mean anything. I mean, if you walk through my house here with my nephew, he looks at me like, you're nothing, because that's the way it's been. Not nothing, but it's a normalcy that is here, and that I walk in normalcy. But I've been painting and drawing and entering art contests most of my life competitively. I've won a few, and since as a child, and then playing the harp as a child. And so those are two things that I did that I think maybe maybe that's drawn some attention. But I had no way of knowing that I would be interested in going into the field of law. I was inspired by a woman that I saw on TV during the Watergate hearings. That's pretty far back, you all. And that was a representative from Texas, Barbara Jordan. She spoke so eloquently, and I was like, oh, wow, I'd like to be her, And those were my childhood aspirations. And so I believe the targeting, though, has definitely retarded my pace in terms of success. And in some instances, of course, has turned back some of my successes. I've been actually a licensed attorney for almost 40 years. I believe this coming year will be 40 years.
40 years. Long.
40
That's
years.
An incredible amount of time.
Yes, it is. And it was something that was prompted by an incident. And when I was a high school student, I worked in Hardee's, and I was infused with anger and a feeling of injustice when I worked at a Hardee's at night. I was working as a cashier and mopping floors like I don't know, I would say a typical person, a typical teenager. And then I was discriminated against. I was told to mop the floors every night. And I was like, well, wait a minute here. I'm not supposed to be the only one mopping the floors here, And, and so it infused me with a desire to be something in life. I ignored my music playing. I ignored my painting. And I said, well, it's not going to get me anywhere anyway. I said, I want to be something where I can, pay these people back for making me mop these floors every night. And that's when I set my sights on being a lawyer, being an attorney. And that's how it started.
That's incredible. Yeah, I started as a dry cleaner working for my dad, and it was miserable work, sorting clothes and working at the counter and all that in the heat. And I promised myself I'd do better too, and I ended up working in high tech in Silicon Valley all on my own, and I didn't listen to my parents or anyone, and I did what I thought was right because I was watching all the cars go by my house, and they were pretty nice cars, and I wanted to be a part of it, and they were going to Silicon Valley.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
And I live
money
right
is part
there.
of it.
Yeah. I saw the fancy cars, and I said, I got to go that direction.
Yes, I agree. I understand that too. Yes.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. As an attorney and as a judge, do you give anyone advice, especially the targeted community, when it comes to evidence, what satisfies the court, including scans for implants, videos, and photos of perps and such? Do you have any advice for anyone as far as doing that and getting evidence, and what evidence matters in the court of law?
Okay. Well, I've had the experience of being a practitioner and also a judge, one that admits and denies evidence. And so I think I have a good measuring stick. And it is called demonstrative evidence of the under the rules of evidence in the federal rules and the state rules. Demonstrative. Does it demonstrate something? Can you identify it? And if you identify it, what do you claim that it's going to do, what it's going to show? In fact, pursuant to the rules of evidence, you have to say what you believe it's going to show and describe the evidence. It has to be demonstrative. It has to be clear. It has to be, evidence itself can be documents. It can be recordings. It can be optics. It can be testimony even. There is a little hiccup when it comes to the rules of evidence and certifying someone as an expert on a certain subject. And that has to be what we call pre-qualified, or I forgot what we called that in the courtroom. So oftentimes in the courtroom, when someone walk up and say, I have an expert witness, Your Honor, I'm like, okay, what is their field? Oh, it's bouncing a ball. Just okay, well, okay. Well, what we're going to do is excuse the jury, if there was a jury, and we're going to declare or certify whether this person is an expert or not. And sometimes that expert would have a resume or something. And, testify, like I've been looking at bouncing balls for 15 years. And, well, what kind of balls? And blah, 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 that. And then blah, 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 and ask, certain questions. And then upon offering that evidence as a practitioner or hearing it as a judge, I would decide whether it meets the threshold for demonstrative evidence and admit it into evidence. And then subject to the objections or cross-examination from the other side of the court. So evidence, generally, when we talk about targeted justice, would be things we can put our hands on. You're talking about the x-rays, the scans, and definitely, if you have I believe these things can get into evidence if they're offered by a party. The obstacle is the other side in the courtroom, the opposing party objecting. But I certainly believe it. Most of the activities that are being carried on by that are being carried out by the targeted justice people in terms of these scans, x-rays, and other things can be admitted into a court of law, into evidence into a court of law.
Incredible.
In a threshold way. In a threshold way. It's not saying that it won't be challenged, but once you mark them and describe them, I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but before any case goes to court, most judges require a pretrial statement. In the pretrial statement, they require exhibits to be named, marked first. When I say marked, exhibit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and named. Well, what is it? What do you think it is? It represents. And so those are the kinds of things that what targeted justice has to offer. That's the way it will be addressed in a court of law. It would normally be seen by a judge. It's not sure whether it will be seen by a jury, but definitely seen by a judge and noted by a judge because it meets the threshold almost in every case.
Actually, yeah, Targeted Justice just put out a newsletter about almost everything you said. So, it has to be demonstrative and has to be very good evidence with an expert. Of course, whoever's you're going against, whether it's a government or a contractor or the defendant, it depends on how strong their defense is, of course, right?
Yes. Yes. The thing is to be prepared for it. Just be prepared for it. And this is what I want to say. When does the preparation process start? It starts the minute you get the item. So there are many targeted justice individuals having the scans, and that way these items must be preserved in some way. Maybe you want to preserve it in a safe deposit box. Maybe you want to preserve it in a safe place. Maybe you want to preserve it in a bank safe deposit box. But the more valuable the piece of evidence, the more steps I think should be taken to preserve the evidence. Like, for instance, when I make certain phone calls, I have 3 phones. And a lot of states have recording laws when talking on the phone. I said, okay, fine. Okay. You can't use that in evidence. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just use it on a third phone. It's not going to be subjected to those rules. And so I record many of my conversations on third phones. So it's not subject to the direct one-on-one conversations that take place on the phone. And many of those laws are changing. Many of those laws have exceptions. But I've anticipated those obstacles if I try to offer them in court. But, I mean, hey, the hearsay rules can be overcome. And that's what you're dealing with, hearsay rules when you talk about conversation. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Basically, what you have are documents and items such as the scans, x-rays, and whatever else you have that may go towards a proven demonstrative case of targeting.
Gotcha. Incredible. So you're targeted, I'm targeted, I get the V2K, I'm sure you get the gang stalking and directed energy weapons. I don't know if you get V2K or not, or telepathy. But do you get the dreams at all, the synthetic dreams that kind of make you feel bad in the morning, as I get?
No, never had any of those.
You're lucky with that. I get those every night. Great.
Right.
But you do get the gang stalking and the directed energy weapons?
Yes, the organized gang stalking, especially when I've gotten it here in South Carolina, but it's pretty much gone. In Michigan, it was very organized. Most of the gang stalking are individuals in white vehicles. I don't know why they put white vehicles, because they're definitely doing something black and dark. But they characterize themselves in white vehicles. And let's see, I returned here in October. I mean, up until almost the time that I was returned here to South Carolina, I was targeted. And you see the drones that they're talking about now. Drones.
The drone. Are you getting the drones where you're at?
I was targeted by drones in Michigan, downtown Detroit.
How long ago? How many years has that been for the drones? I've seen drones 10 years ago. The drones were over my house in Stockton, California. I saw them, and they're the size of small cars.
Yeah, they look really little, but if you let them get close, you'll hear the roar and the power of their engines. And, you know, one might say it was my imagination, but I believe this is real. I've recorded a lot of it, that they were releasing chemical warfare. So a lot of times in my latter times, I would I would run in the house if I saw the drone. And in my later days, sometimes I just get so mad I just stand there. I don't care what they do. Yesterday, I went to a Christmas party, and before I went to a Christmas party, I stepped outside my house, and there was extreme chemical warfare taking place outside my house. And if you go to my Facebook page, it's on my Twitter page as well now. I'm going to put it on my Instagram page. You'll see what I endured yesterday, just yesterday. And so these are chemical warfare. This is the military. No one else would have the extensive resources and the time, the manpower, and the motive to exact such an attack. And so I believe that these are political attacks. I believe most of my life, but after my life before I was a judge, and even until now, I've been a political person, and these attacks have been ongoing. They stopped for a good while now. When I came here in October, I hadn't seen anything for a good while. But yesterday, and I've already said that the military lends itself to sexual harassment. And yesterday, when I stepped outside to go to this Christmas party, there was chemical warfare outside my house. And, I've done everything I can I'm going to have to remount my legal claims against the military, against the government. But part of that combat is letting people know about it. Letting it get...
You've come to the right place here in Targeted West. We're quite popular, so this is one place, of course, you can do that.
Yeah.
At. Oh, wow.
Well, that's good. What I'm glad about...
Go ahead.
Yeah. What I'm glad about is not a subject that's shunned here on your platform.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is an incredible story, and this chat room is just going crazy talking about how talented you are and how brave you are. What gets you through all the targeting and the day-to-day stresses? What gets you going and keeps you going? Do you have a faith? Do you have anything in particular?
Yes, I have a faith, a strong faith in God, in Jesus Christ, and and sometimes even that, and wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing that the Word of God says. My twin sister, I believe, died as a result of these chemical attacks. She too was a Christian, a praying Christian, a faithful Christian, but you have to have wisdom about these things. And having wisdom is you have to shield yourself and avoid situations. I mean, like yesterday, you can't avoid. I mean, I went to that Christmas party anyway. I didn't care what chemical warfare was out there.
Good for you. I don't want to interrupt, but we do have a quick commercial break, if you don't mind, from our friends
sure.
at Cyber Shield. And then we'll talk some more about the drones and what you experienced. So that's incredible. Here we go. A quick word from the people at Cyber Shield.
This is cybershieldinfo.com. We manufacture a shielding device that protects the body and head from harmful ionizing electromagnetic frequencies. This is the most powerful high-tech shielding device made specifically for targeted individuals who are assaulted with harmful radiation and pain. Do you want to feel better? We also offer complimentary in-person demonstrations in the San Francisco Bay Area. For photos, pricing, and more details, visit cybershieldinfo.com.
Again, that's cybershieldinfo.com. We're interviewing Judge Sanders, Brenda K. Sanders. Now, you also have a podcast that you have about politics in other topics. Can you share with us where that's at and how we can tune in?
Yes, I do. Now, I haven't podcasted for a while on the political strategist. It was on Spotify for podcasters or Spotify for or Anchor.com. That's where I started. Anchor FM.
Yeah, I'm on there too. You'll be tomorrow. Yes.
Yes, the political strategist. So I'm going to start. They've changed the format a little bit, so I'm going to have to upload the episodes. I'm pretty much used to going on there, pushing a button and just talking, and uploading. But unless anyone can tell me anything different, that's the way they do it now. So I haven't podcasted in a while, but I have podcasted for years and years. You'll see years of episodes on the political strategist. And I've also podcasted on Block Talk Radio. I have like about 8 years of shows on Block Talk Radio under Seeing Clearly in the Dark. My Anchor podcast, or Spotify now, have been Political Strategist, Seeing Clearly in the Dark, and I had another podcast called The Vision Prophet. So I have all those podcasts. They are available at Anchor or Spotify for podcasters. Yes, years and years of me talking, preaching. I did go to ministry school as well. I know that wasn't mentioned, but I did go and get a degree in ministry. It was a 2-year degree. And
tell us a little bit about that. That'd be great. And by the way, they changed Spotify. They call it Spotify for creators now.
They sure did. They
did.
They changed it now.
You can only upload the files. So tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey as going to school for that. And this is a Sunday, and we do talk about religion every once in a while. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was at a point in my practice where, things weren't going that well, and I was like, well, maybe I should increase my dedication to my faith and to God. And I said I'll go to ministry school, which I did. And I did attend a ministry school. At that time, it wasn't accredited, by the way. It was a 2-year program, but it's accredited now. And it was sponsored by one of the churches in the Southfield, Michigan, which is called Word of Faith. I know Tranquility will know that church. But I did. I went and sat in a ministry school from 8 to 12 every day for 2 years straight. I pretty much closed down my practice, except for to take a few cases and here and there to keep my food on the table.
Yeah.
And that is how I made it through ministry school. I graduated, and for a minute, I served actually on staff at a church in Detroit. It was a non-denominational church. And then I served on another church staff, but then I soon began to realize and make use of that degree. I mean, I thought I would get out, I would be this big preacher or something. That didn't take place. That did not take place. And so I began to convert those skills and the knowledge I had gotten from ministry school into a podcast called Seeing Clearly in the Dark on Black Talk Radio. And I had before that, I had a radio show, actual brick and mortar radio show on WGPR in Detroit, Michigan.
Ooh, I didn't know that. That's incredible. Yeah. Tell us more about that.
Well, that was every Sunday from 2:30 to 3.
Was religious content?
Yes, it was. It was, and that is the way I, made use of my, my ministerial education, and I also taught. I mean, I've done a lot, pretty much, I guess you say. I also taught on a professional ministry school staff for 10 years, where I taught doctoral students. The students were getting master's degrees, associate degrees, and bachelor's degrees. I did that for 10 years as well.
It's absolutely incredible. What a career. And you're still going, you're still strong, and you have a future, an incredible future. Again, we're interviewing Judge Sanders, Brenda K. Sanders. Yeah, we'll have to check out your podcast for sure. We've been doing this podcast for 3 years, and I'm a retired tech worker from Silicon Valley, and like I said, and just decided to follow the cars. It was literally that simple. And then I went back to school and learned more, and I did that for 27 years. And I was lucky enough by location to be in Silicon Valley. So without, all the education, I was still able to find a place and was able to do quite well.
I bet. If I had to do it again, I'd probably do the same thing. Get it Silicon Valley.
And it was because it was there. It's like you pick out, if you're live in a field of apples, you pick apples for a living. So that's what you do. And Silicon Valley changed from orchards, literally apples, to Apple Company overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, I worked for Apple too. I used to work in the educational department, so I understand what you're talking about as far as teaching people. I used to update the books, and I also had a stint at a radio station too. It was a volunteer station, so I understand that. That's hard work, being on time, getting the radio station to go along with your plans, having a producer, all that stuff. That's a lot of coordination and a lot of time out of your day. That's incredible that you've done all this. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we take questions from the audience?
No, I'll just let them ask me questions. Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and switch modes. See if we'll switch it to regular out of Q&A mode into regular *6, mute yourself, and then you can comment to open up the mics. Here we go. Okay, if you have a question for Judge Sanders, now is the time. You're listening to TargetedWest.com, and you're participating on our call tonight. Come on in if you have a question. We have 80 people on the call right now.
Is it just free for all open mic questions?
It's for Judge Sanders, if possible, please.
What is the best way or place to go about getting demonstrative evidence for the invisible directed energy weapons? Because I don't have, to my knowledge, like gang stalking or anything like that I can take to court with. It's all invisible. How would I even go about something like that? And should I report it at all?
Well, that's a little. I am at a crossroads there about reporting it, because everyone doesn't see it as legitimate, and that's how calls of mental illness are spurred, and people, oh, you're crazy, and there's directly. What happens is it's actually an effort to suppress and oppress the reporting of these activities. So there's retaliation, as it is in other areas, like when sexual harassment or something is reported. But the best thing I have found to do is this. Either you still have to be very careful, but create a, maybe like DJ Chris has a account with Spotify or something. With some of my activities, I would encounter something or something would happen, and I would just press the button and start talking about it. I would memorialize the event. Whether I memorialized it with a recording or with an email. Emails are good. I have 3 email accounts, just like I have 3 phones. And when I endure something, I will take the time to, sometimes I do both. I have a recording, I talk about it, what happened, what were the details, when did it happen. Very detailed. Is more credibility with detail. I'm sorry?
You document the invisible attacks?
Yeah, I'll say, look, I was struck in the butt. I was struck in the eye. I was struck here. I was walking here. I was doing this.
But what if it's happening all day, every day?
Well, what you do at the end of the day is you record yourself. You record the events of the day. You record it. You say, look, started this morning. I went to get my coffee and got hit in the eye with a directed energy, what I believe is a directed energy attack. The reason why I'm telling you to do this is this. In a court of law, writings, it's called recollection documents, refreshing recollection. If you ever got in a courtroom, you start talking about these things, they say, oh, what evidence do you have of that? Did you write it down? Oh, okay, yes, I did. When? And, say, yeah, I wrote it down every day. I have the events recorded in my emails. I have them recorded in a notebook. I have them recorded.
That's what I do. I keep a notebook and I summarize everything for the day.
Right.
Okay.
And so that is a very good way. Yeah, it can be time consuming. It is a detailed, work, but that's the way you.
On that same subject, since I've been overtly a target for the last 2 years, would it be kosher, I guess? I'm not sure what the right legal term is, to document the last 2 years and then start doing dailies? Would they admit the last 2 years of my life?
Well, what I would do, credible evidence is, I would go back. Whatever you can remember, document it now before you have to go into a court, right? Or before you bring your claims. Yes, bring yourself up to date with what you can, and then go from there. And document what you can. I do emails. I have 3, and do you know what? It's like you really have to stay on it, because when I go into one of my very well-used email accounts was closed, and I can't get in it. And I said, wow, I have all these things in that email account. So now I have 3 accounts, and I figure if one is closed, I'll have whatever I want to preserve in the other 2 accounts.
And you email yourself the evidence or something?
Yes, I do.
And does that work in the legal field in a similar way, like people used to mail stuff to themselves and keep it closed? Does it work sort of like that?
Yes. I wouldn't recommend mailing anything like that unless you have a tracking number.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And is there any other good evidence that I should be trying to collect besides my personal testimony? I mean, I've gone to the doctors and I've gone to the cardiologist and I've had a bunch of failed tests. But aside from that, is there anything that you would recommend in the here and now?
You say most of your attacks are not tangible, so you can't put your hand on them. I would record my feelings, my condition at the time it happens. Are you having head pain? Are you having eye pain? I would record that. I would record it either in writing or in a voice recording and email it to myself in more than one email.
Okay.
And then if you can,
yes.
Oh, there's one final thing. pictures. I have I have a lot of everything. Flash drives. If you have some tangible evidence like that and you're able to email it to yourself, then take the time as well to download it on a flash drive with a hope that it will be preserved.
Wouldn't it be better to just write it down? I write mine down because in case they wipe out my phone.
Well, true. But how about if you did both?
Flash drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I always be redundant. Yes. Thank you, Michelle, for that comment. Does anybody have a question for Judge Sanders tonight? Come on in.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, thank you. My situation involves repeated home break-ins since the end of 2020 when I became aware that things were, not right. And I've done repeated reports to the police about the break-ins, the thefts. One of the things, I found happen is they've left plastic gloves behind, and I brought a plastic glove over for evidence and asked for DNA testing, and the police refused to do it, saying they don't have the capability or ability to do that testing, that it can't be done for them. So what does someone do in that case? Because I contacted a lab and they said they wouldn't process it unless it's, being given to them by the police, and that it would cost like $5,000 to begin with, et cetera. So, I believe I possibly had DNA evidence, but I can't get assistance or cooperation.
Yeah, and you know what I think what would facilitate your reporting is at least to get it in a police facility is this. Sometimes we have to play the games they play. We can't tell everything. Just say, look, I have a break-in, and characterize it as simply a break-in. Don't mention anything else, because they have a duty to investigate it. These are credible things. They have a duty. And I'm going to tell you, after a while, if they don't investigate, if they don't you don't send the police, you don't make a report, you don't do this, you can sue them. It develops legal claims. Okay. It develops legal claims. It lends itself to legal claims, litigation. You're going to be litigious because you're not doing your job.
Right.
And
right.
because you're not doing your job, that's going to force you to go and do those things.
I went back and asked for the glove back, and was told by the officer that they tossed it away. So it's there's obviously not going to be any help in that sense. The other thing that happens to me is I've had outdoor cameras and discovered that they're being hacked, and apparently there's a tie-in with AI. I've seen AI images like on my front door, tampering messages on my camera, showing like AI images and a video. So there's somehow some technology that's being used for harassment and for surveillance. So, just as I mentioned, I don't know if that's happening to anybody else, but it's interesting because a lot of things show up, I have found, with infrared cameras. They pick up some evidence of things as well.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. With all this technology, it may be just good to go back to, for starters, the basic dog. The basic dog. It's the best thing I've ever had. I'm about to get another one. A dog. My dog, I miss him because he'd go outside. I live on, 11 acres of land down here. He'd go the whole shot. And, he would bark. And, he was so aggressive with things. The basic dog is where I'm going to go back to, and
right.
maybe two dogs. So that's a start.
Yeah. I just want to say just something else that's interesting is there's been some theories sometimes, or from a podcast I heard with Targeted Justice, that sometimes there seems to be a connection as far as the reason people are selected, because a parent or someone in the family was also targeted. And it's interesting because once I learned more about targeted individuals and what happens, I made the connection that this happened to my mother before she passed away in 2010. She was experiencing a lot of the same things that I'm experiencing, and of course the family just thought that, she was crazy and everything else. But it was interesting because some people report that their animals have been killed, and that was one of the things that happened to my mother. She had a dog, like in a doghouse outside, and somebody strangled the dog. So it's interesting when you see that kind of, pattern, because I think we're all trying to figure out why is this happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some people that there's some bad actors in government and in private places and sectors that want to engage in this behavior, and I'm not going to eliminate the government in it, but my
absolutely.
dog, my dog, when I let him out, guess who was outside looking and waiting? I didn't let him out and just, okay, come back when you want. Oh no, I was aware. That's where wisdom comes in. I was aware. Right. And so I would let him, travail, go out into the woods or whatever. And then after maybe I would give him 20 minutes. 20 minutes started, I would be in my car. I never had to do it much. I would be in my car. I'd be doing something to flash lights to find my dog. And so I never just, I never let him stay outside either. He stayed inside. And so you have to be just aware of people inside your family as well. If your dog acts differently, did somebody bother him or something? I was aware of everything. Having been a judge, having been a practicing lawyer, I'm aware of so much stuff that I don't sit idly by and too much, and so I was very protective of my dog. Now, the reason I gave my dog up recently is because of the extreme weather patterns that I had experienced down here. And I just could not keep him here. It was just extreme.
Wow.
And I'm going to say something that sounds strange, but it was the chemicalization of the environment here that I felt was dangerous for my dog. Right. So I gave him up to a family. I believe with this administration coming in now, I think things are going to be somewhat better. And so I'm going to maybe re-entertain getting a dog again. Yeah.
That would be nice. I had dogs before, too. I have cats now, and they keep an eye on things, believe it or not. As funny as that sounds, the cats are really aware of the environment and tell me when someone's around.
Right.
Did you have weather problems when in North Carolina during the storms? Or did you make it through that okay?
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, I was in Michigan up until, like I said, October. I mean, Marjorie Greene, who's a representative in Congress, said it recently, and I'm going to say it now. These weather patterns, some of them are government manufactured, and
we had Elena Freeland on, who did the books about the ionized sky and chemtrails and geoengineering. Yes, the weather is manipulated. It's done in many countries. That was done in Vietnam in the 60s. Anyway, does anybody have any more questions for Doctor? I keep saying that. Judge Sanders, please.
You can call me Ben.
DJ Chris, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think I talked last week when you had Jesse Beltran on, but I have a son who's in prison, and he's targeted 24/7 in prison. He was targeted for many, many years prior to being sent to prison. But my question is, what responsibility do the prisons have to care for the inmates and prevent this kind of treatment? I've never told them that that's what's going on with him. And when he talked about it, when he got to prison, they sent him to a psych unit.
Right.
So it just seems as though they have custody of him. And he's literally tortured 24/7. He has V2K plus the electronic targeting that just kind of buzzes him all day long and all night. So, have you ever had any experience with it? And what would you suggest as a judge? Is there anything at all that we can do?
I have a brother in prison. I think that's part of the targeting as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know it. The thing is, you have to. What I do, and I'm off my game a little bit, is I am always in contact with these prison officials, and I let them know I'm an attorney. Now I'm off my game a little bit, but I'm going to be filing complaints. I file complaints. I send. I kind of secretly get their email addresses and fax numbers, and now they will give it to me. But I usually try to sound very professional, get their fax number. I send them faxes and let them know that I am casing for my brother and casing to find out what's going on with him. I'm also filing a new, thank God, a new witness has come forth in this case. So I'll be filing a motion to set aside his conviction soon and have him ask that he be released on personal bond. So this ordeal is coming to an end in a way. There's a way out. But I would target the targeting by contacting the prison officials. Again, that same modus operandi is emailing, faxing, writing, emailing, faxing, writing, calling, recording, email, the same thing. And then if you decide to litigate, you will have a proven, you have your evidence that you can present. After a while, hey, what's going to be worse than being B2K'd every day?
Yeah.
You file a lawsuit, solitary confinement. So whatever they have suffered through, what could be worse? And I don't know anybody with a light shining on them continues to openly do illegal things. Even the police try to retreat from the light, the light of criticism.
Yeah, they don't like that at all. And by the way, they had someone hacking their brain in 1967 in San Quentin, and he was hearing voices, according to Cheryl Welsh from mindjustice.org. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, really?
And anybody else have the jail B2K has been going on since the 60s. Does anybody else have a question for Judge Sanders?
Yeah, I do.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Is that Jax?
Yeah.
Come on in.
Hi, DJ. Hi there, DJ.
Hello, Jax.
Hello. Oh, yeah. I wanted to pose a question to Judge Brenda Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Is she still? Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Hi. So I just wanted you to know that I've been studying the rules of evidence for cases that are being submitted, and especially for people making demands for millions of dollars. And the evidence that I have read that Targeted Justice has is null and void. There's none. And I would like to know, if, since you're a judge, if you can explain what that evidence is that they're presenting that is not anything that I can find.
What they're primarily doing is testimonial evidence, testimony of witnesses.
Is that testimony of injuries?
Witnesses, yeah. So if you stood up right now, if you stood up right now and start talking, says, I'm a victim, blah, 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 you stand before a court of law. That's their evidence. Now.
Okay, go ahead.
That stands. That's good.
Okay. Well, as a judge, that getting millions of dollars requires more evidence than witness as to injuries. Saying that they have injuries is not enough. And also, they are not doing I don't agree with what you're postulating, because they're also using a court case. I think it was one in 2020 by Robert Kennedy for the Children's Defense Fund as the plaintiff. He won that case against the cell phone tower, actually the telecommunications industry, but there was never been any amelioration of the so-called damage that the cell phone towers were causing to the children in every geographical area. So when Targeted Justice files a lawsuit based on another lawsuit that's never been ameliorated or settled for damages, that's really not enough to win more millions of dollars from the telecommunications industry's satellites and cell phone towers.
Well,
so I just want you to know I'm doing my research, and also digital forensics has come a very long way. And the last thing that we would want to do as targeted people is to rid ourselves of cell phone towers, because that is where the evidence lies. The operatives are using technology through computers and their phones. And, the phone is a computer. So I'm kind of being redundant when I say phones and computers, because they're both computers, and they are using this technology to assault us. And, the evidence is very hard to prove unless we confiscate an operative's phones and computers and do the digital forensics. So it's going to take that kind of work to get the evidence that we need to solve this crime being perpetrated against us.
Oh, well, I'm glad you mentioned him. I was on his call earlier tonight, and I hadn't been on his call. RFK's call. He has a call every Sunday.
Right, yeah, Robert Kennedy. But, he is not talking, and I don't see a statement or anything where he is supporting Targeted Justice's lawsuit.
Well, he may not come out and openly do it, but there may be. Let me tell you this.
He does, and the other thing I wanted to say to you, contemporaneous evidence is not enough to win millions of dollars, because anybody can sit down and make a bunch of notes. And I don't even do that. I keep receipts and write on the receipts everywhere I go. And it's so mind-boggling and overwhelming to try to keep contemporaneous receipts that I just establish that I'm here unless I'm not, and I use receipts to prove where I go, because usually I buy something when I'm not at my home office or somewhere else. But the evidence to prove this kind of a case against something that is so essential in our society is bound to be lost, and it will be dismissed. So we've got to work another way, Brenda, and I would love to speak to you about what I know someday. Maybe we can exchange phone numbers if you're willing, because there is another way. You're a Christian, and God used some of the simplest ways to help people win wars. It was the most unbelievable and unexpected way that people would win wars against giants, thrones, nations, and he picked the smallest people to do it. He would choose the smallest of them all, people who said, "Oh God, it's not me. I'm not worthy." So, you as a Christian know that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I play the harp, so I talk about David a lot as the shepherd boy when he defeated, even when he defeated Goliath, and hey, he used a stone, right? A little small stone, and their ways. All of this is my legal background, okay? So I say all of this as a lawyer, and it is sometimes to the lay person it sounds ridiculous, but it is I believe the most successful cases are going to be documented cases, and we have now. And I'm not going to, I believe that Robert Kennedy, whatever criticisms he may have endured or he is going to bring an awareness to the White House that I believe we've not had before. And it's not going to come out yet. They haven't had a chance yet. But when I started following him on, I think it was Instagram, I was amazed at some of the things he said. I'm like, wow, this man is really enlightened. Okay, well, I'm enlightened, but I have more to learn, right? I'm listening to you. I'm listening to others. So I'm enlightened to a degree, but I need more knowledge. I need more things to go where I can see, and that increases our strength and knowledge. Yes, I am a Christian. I am a believer. But one thing I know, God said it. He said that our works would be our faith. Our faith by works. So we got to work it if we're going to say we have faith. And I believe that is a way that God can bless us. And we're going to have to, do something. He requires that. Faith without works is dead. And so I do believe in the Word of God with a capital W.
Oh, thank you for that. Does there anybody else have a question for Judge Sanders?
I do.
Come on in.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering, aside from, the Word of God, like, what do you think, it's going to take to get the courts to hear us? I mean, it looks to me like we have a lot of corrupt judges, maybe more now than ever, it seems like, out there now. And what do you think it's going to take to get the courts to hear us and to help us to end this targeting program?
Well, I think having been a lawyer, having been a radio person, a political person, the advocacy never stops. And it's not like you win overnight, but you have to keep going. Robert F. He's found himself in the White House, literally, in the throes of the White House. And I think he's going to bring an awareness there. We have to keep going. I mean, targeting sounded ridiculous at first, I guess, to many. That's how I got targeted on my job as a judge. I mean, I didn't know what was going on. But once awareness comes, I find that there's an instant attempt to silence a person. Say mental illness. Oh, and all along you're telling the truth. So, just I was posting something on the internet the other day, and I had to sidestep a few words. I said I got to be careful because somebody will say, "Oh, they are mental." Well, you're reporting, you're documenting, you're making your case heard and known. I think ultimately the laws will change. Ultimately, there has to be an advocacy for the laws to change, to recognize that these things are happening, and that if you break the law and have these planes and stuff like I've endured, you're breaking the law. And it's going to be, I want to make it where it is, there's something in the law called instant accountability. I can't think of the word right now. It's right on the tip of my tongue. You don't have to prove it. If you say A, B, C, that's it. You're accountable. What's that? What is that? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, so the laws have to change. I think that's
Brenda, it's called consciousness of guilt.
Something else. Something else. I know what you're saying, but it's something else.
But they know to hide. That's
it's a legal word. It's a legal word.
I'm trying to get to that word, but I thought it was consciousness of guilt because they're hiding.
No. It's another word. It's in the laws and the rules of evidence. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna think of it probably as soon as I get off of this. It's right on the tip of my tongue. There's some things in the law you don't have to prove. If you just say something, they instantly know you're telling the truth. And so it'll get, what is that word? But anyway, I hope that this targeting will get to that level.
Yeah, I do too. Any more questions for Judge Shannon? Come on in.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is CC in Sacramento, California, in the capital here. Ma'am, I think I see that you're visibly African American. There's a question I have regarding that and you being a judge.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that there are about 5 to 7 black lady judges in Texas that died of pancreatic cancer in their younger years? Have you followed that case at all? The coincidence of that. I wonder if they were targeted because, they shoot at our bodies with weapons and stuff, supposedly, allegedly.
When did they die?
Probably about 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, over a 8-year period. Very close
There were a lot
to
of
each
judges
other.
dying. There were a lot of judges dying at the court where I was, and that's what happened. That's how I lost my judgeship, because I went to the FBI. I was tipped off and went to the FBI. I was real innocent about that, and said I was tipped off that a judge was going to die, and he died. I was instantly labeled mentally ill and all this stuff. I mean, now I'm going to be moving to set aside my removal and to be reinstated as a judge because everything has been proven that I was right.
And on the backdrop of that, which could be totally not related, but at the same time, and I'm sorry, everyone, if I'm bringing up a racial issue, but there's a lot of hangings going on in this country. There's and unalivings of young black males and some females. And this is going on. And ironically, I mean, Kamala Harris was the champion. She was championing the anti-hanging law, and he got barked down. And every time it comes up in the Senate and the Congress, it gets barked down. And I think that's part of the reason why she didn't win. That's part of it, okay? But I think there's a resurgence in a lot of unaliving and its ropes being found. And I just kind of, it's a little relative, but not at all. But I just, wanted to throw that out there. But also primarily that there were a lot of female judges passing of the same ailment, cancer of the pancreas. That's just weird
and I think
to me.
Yeah, it is, and that's the way they do. For one thing, these cell phones. If you go to my Facebook page or either to my let's see, Spotify for podcasters podcast, I have something on there talking about the dangers of the modern day cell phone. Right now I'm talking with a pillow in my lap with this cell phone to cover, with a pillow to cover my lap with this cell phone.
Yes.
And because I believe they're dangerous rays emitting from the cell phone that directed directly toward my pelvic area.
And think about how many times we're sitting in front of computers and laptops and iPads and the cell phone.
We're going to go to the next question. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Thank
no
you.
problem.
DJ Chris,
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
We have another question. Go ahead.
I have a quick comment, if that's okay.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. Ma'am, you said the term, you couldn't remember the name. Wouldn't that be prima facie? No.
I didn't hear you.
It's like there's a term, legal term that can be used that doesn't have to be proven. It's called prima facie, F-A-C-I-E.
No, it's not prima facie. Prima facie case is the elements you have to prove in a case. But there's another, oh, wow. I wish I could call it right now.
Judge Brenda, is it direct evidence? That's the one you
No.
need?
No. In fact, let me try to look it up. There's certain cases, like when there were the asbestos cases, okay? If a worker, there were so many cases, if a worker...
Class action.
I have a question.
No. I know what the word is. I know what the word is. It's just, I can't think of it right now.
Please get it for us, Judge Brenda, because we need to know more about these legal terms.
Okay, I will get it for you.
Is it important to stress in your filings that your civil rights have been violated? Is that always a good thing to is that a good term to use, civil rights violated? Would that get you some in any type of attention and any type of legal work?
This is what I say. Use the kitchen sink and throw it. Add everything. Everything.
When you say civil rights, though, isn't that kind of like a catchword? Like people like the law kind of takes another look at it when you say that your civil rights or your constitutional rights have been violated? Is that a good phrase?
It's always a claim if you're in the federal courts to say that. And if anybody is infringed upon, it's always a 14th Amendment violation. It's several claims federally and even the state claims should be never ignored either. So yeah, it's a catch-all. That word is so on the tip of my tongue. Liability, liability.
I thought they were like violating the Constitution in so many different ways. I'm trying to understand, like, how you, what do you think? What kind of laws would need to be changed to help us with this? I mean, aren't they already violating a bunch of laws?
Well, they are, but the thing is, to change the burdens to gain access to the remedies. Some of the burdens are very high. When you look at the Civil Rights Act of 1967. I mean, the burdens have been made so high. And I'm like, who stood by while these injustices took place? Why were these lawmakers not called on the carpet? They did some very bad things in terms of, like Joe Biden has not lent himself to the civil rights movement. He has hindered it. And there have been some other lawmakers and presidents that have done nothing but hinder the movement. The law.
So are you talking about the burden of proof? Is that what you mean? The bar for the burden of proof?
Liability. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Something liability. something like
Okay,
that.
we need to go
That
to the
means you
next
don't have to.
question.
Wait,
Yeah,
if
next
I
question,
came to
please.
you-
We got so many.
Yes,
Did
ma'am.
I ask something?
Ma'am,
Did I do something
It will take me
wrong?
1 second. Only 10
Okay,
seconds.
this.
I'm sorry to
no, no.
I
Let's
have one
wrap
more
it.
term, and I think I got the
Quick
term she's
question
looking
to Judge Brennan.
Collateral estoppel. Collateral estoppel, right? Is that the term?
What is it? Collateral estoppel.
Yes.
That's a Latin term.
It can be used in court.
No, that's
if
not it.
doesn't-
Okay.
That's not it.
I
That's
don't-
something like that. That's
20
not it. I'm going to
questions.
get it right now. No.
And CC, no, please don't start. Okay, any
I
more
didn't
questions
start.
for the, any more questions?
What?
Judge Sanders, please.
I asked Judge Sanders
You're
the
on
question.
recording.
Was
You're
that
on
okay?
recording. You're
I
on
don't think I was
recording.
starting anything. I know.
You're
I'm not
banned
doing
from this
anything.
call. You've been banned from this call for
I wasn't
months. Why
banned
is
from
it
this
here?
call.
Yes, you were. Come on, don't lie.
When?
You're
When?
ruining the call. Thank you for ruining the call. Anyway, anyone else have questions for Judge Sanders?
Chris, I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
I got a house. Me and my wife were married for 37 years, and it was our marital home. And now the wife has died, and my daughter, she had signed it over to my daughter, and my daughter hadn't paid the taxes on it for the last 2 years, 3 years. I'm trying to see how can I get it back into my name.
You signed it over to your daughter.
No,
and
yeah.
And just your daughter?
Yeah.
Well, unless
she hadn't
your
paid
daughter.
the taxes in the last 3 years. It'll be 3 years this year. And it's our marital home. She hadn't paid the taxes. I've been paying the taxes, and I'm thinking we lose the house if she don't pay the taxes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see kind of how I can get it back in my name. Since I'm having to pay the taxes.
You know, the only thing at this point, the remedy is this. Either you sue your daughter, you know, under some pretense and get the house back, or say I signed it over to you with the knowing that you were supposed to pay the tax and you didn't do it. So it's a breach of contract, breach of obligation, or let her forfeit and you redeem the house. You know,
okay.
It's very difficult when you sign everything over to one person. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that question, sir. Next question or last question as we wrap this up.
Is the term averment, it's in the chat.
I have a
AVE.
question.
It's something liability. I'm going to think of the
questions?
term in a minute. The liability, it's something liability, and it's going to come to me in just a minute. It's I know the term, I just can't think of the first word right now. Something liability. Oh, golly, what is that word? Okay, but it means you don't have to prove anything. You just say it. Like in those asbestos cases where all those people got lung cancer and stuff. Okay, I worked in a asbestos factory. I think I have cancer. Okay, your case is approved. Oh, what's that word? Well, anyway, I'll give it to DJ Chris later. But
yeah,
that's
you
the
and Jax, we'll get you hooked up with Jax, and you two can talk some more about the legal stuff.
Okay.
Hey, can I ask
any more questions before we wrap up and go to the book club?
Yeah,
I have one question.
I wanted to know if the judge, have you ever known of anyone who was able to capture physical evidence of directed energy weapons? Do you know of any cases where they were able to prove it with any kind of physical means?
No, I mean,
there's this guy that's got a video, and he has this like $60,000 spectrum analyzer machine, and he put a seminar on explaining how these radio frequencies work. I've got the video. Give me 5 minutes, I'll put it in the chat room. But
okay.
you can catch the signal and you can analyze it and all that, but it's very expensive.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I guess that wraps up our question and answer session with Judge Sanders. Thank you so much for dropping by. This was an incredible adventure.
Oh, no problem. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, and I will. You can stay. You can hang around, please, and I'll do the book club, and then right afterwards, maybe people will have more questions for you.
Okay, I have about maybe 20 minutes, and I can give more, but I'll be glad to stand around.
Yeah, that
I'll
would
be glad
perfect.
to stay around.
Okay, perfect. I'll be right back. It's time for the book club. You're listening to Targeted West, and I am DJ Chris, and we are, of course, in beautiful Lodi, California, and we're going to talk about the book club. Of course, the book club has an incredible amount of numbers to share, and that is we have 189 members. We have read 48 books this year, and we've read 13,000 pages. That's a TI book club, and check it out. Here's the intro.
It's time for the TI Book Club, where every book opens a door to new worlds and shared journeys. Here, we uncover hidden gems, specially selected for TIs, and always within your reach. Be part of a community that reads together, grows together, and sees the world through the same lens. Don't just listen to stories, live them with us. Join now at bookclubs.com/TI-bookclub/join, and let's turn the pages of adventure together.
Thank you, Mr. Announcer. Today's book club that we're reading, book club book, is How Transparency Will Kill the Deep State by Kent Heckenlively and Kevin Shipp. This is a groundbreaking book from Kevin Shipp, who worked for all 4 directorates of the agency, including protecting the head of the CIA. We're going to read this book for 2 sessions because it is a large book and it hasn't even gotten to the good part yet. It's basically the beginning, talks about his history with the agency. But it's a lot of good insight. I do believe some of our targeting is from the CIA. And again, join the book club if you'd like to be a part of that. That ends the book club session. Now we are going to record off, take the recording off, take a sip of soda.
Okay, DJ Chris.
And let you guys talk amongst yourselves. Hold on just a minute.